I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. Today's show is covering the sun sign predictions for all of 2025. And so the title of today's show is Changing Directions. And you could be changing directions and going in different directions this year, because that's exactly what the planets are doing. In fact, they're really going through a lot of change, an extraordinary amount, because there are at least 6 planets that are changing signs, and they're leaving one sign, going into another. Then they're retrograding, they're coming back into the sign they've already been in, and then they'll have to turn around and go direct and re-enter the next sign, and so on. And so that back and forth that the planets are doing as they change directions can be echoed in the decisions that you make this year as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, changing directions could be wonderful for you. If you were headed in the wrong direction, you're going to get an opportunity to switch that around and head in the right direction, which could be great for your future. And so let's begin with the sign of Aries. Now, what does it mean in Aries? Well, Aries, this is a sort of a time for you to make up for lost time. And the reason why is that there is a second new moon in your sign at the end of March at 9 degrees of Aries. And do you remember last year you had a solar eclipse in your sign? Well, this year you have another one. Isn't that great? And so the reason why you're going to be able to make up for lost time is because for various reasons you may not have been able to complete a goal last year. And because of that, it might not have been your fault, but perhaps you just weren't able to follow through on some sort of a goal you had last year, but you still have the good idea. And so this year you get a second chance to try that out. But remember, the show is called Changing Directions. And one of the reasons why even you can be changing directions or modifying your goals in some way is because there are a number of retrograde planets during the year. And when planets go retrograde and are going back on their orbit, generally that's a better time for us to go back and tie up loose ends and check on things to make sure we've got all our facts right. So you're going to have to do that a number of times. And whatever you find out as you're rechecking things could lead you to make a change in another direction. And that would be just fine. I don't think that you're going to be able to do anything too fast this year, Aries. And Aries is a fire sign. They like to move fast. But the problem is that there are a number of retrograde planets this year, a lot of them going backward at different times and at different speeds. And so that could impede your progress. And instead, it would be perhaps a little bit better if you just slowed down, Aries. I mean, you don't need to be a ball of fire all the time. Perhaps you should try, when you run into a little roadblock, you should go back and sort of check your plans again. Or check who you're dealing with, and for sure check your budget. And so that's a pretty good idea this year. And if you only sort of pay as you go and you don't borrow a lot of money to do something new, it might go a little bit more slowly, but at least you'd be on surer ground. And that would ensure a better success for you. So I hope you think about that. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when you are going to be amazed that even though you're a good hard worker and you can forge ahead and want to do things that you like doing, it is maybe not going to be as easy to do as you think. The reason why, Taurus, is that a major planet has changed signs. And so Pluto has gone into the sign of the future, Aquarius. And for several years now, it will be squaring your sun, it will be opposing the sign of Leo, and it will be squaring the sign of Scorpio. These are all fixed signs, Taurus, and yours is a fixed sign. And so you're going to be continually running up against the challenge of other people who have a forward vision and they're excited about new future projects and they sort of want to do it their way. And they're going to be wondering how you're going to fit in to their way of operating, which could be brand new to you. And so, Taurus, the good thing, the good news you have to look forward to is that in July, on July 7th, so it's in the summertime, Uranus is going to leave your sign. Uranus is a volatile, unstable, malefic planet that rules sudden, surprising change. And it cannot be counted on. That's why it's a malefic planet. You don't know what's going to happen next. Well, yours is a fixed financial sign. Your finances could have gone up and down and fluctuated in the last 6 years while Uranus was in your sign. But on July 7th, it goes into Gemini, where it's very, very happy, and it's going to trine that Pluto that's actually squaring your sun. And so a lot of people will be off and running on their future projects. But you may not want to follow along, Taurus. And the reason why is you could be sitting pretty right where you are, okay? So why take a chance on anything? Also, you may want to readjust your standard of living and perhaps downsize a little bit and be a little bit more economical and a little bit more modest in your taste. And that way you would have more money. You wouldn't be spending it all the time. You might just decide that you want to save a little bit more money for the future. And that would be good because there are eclipses in the sign of Virgo, which is another earth sign, and they will all be trining your sun, Taurus. So Taurus, you don't have to move fast this year. You don't have to run after everybody's great idea. These Virgo eclipses are going to trine your sun, and Virgo rules modesty. And so that simply means if you just sort of keep going the way you're going, things can settle down for you, Taurus. And the odd thing about Uranus leaving your sign and going into Gemini on July 7th is that it will retrograde. It's one of those planets that's changing direction. It's going to retrograde and come back into your sign, and it will go so far back in your sign this year, in 2025, that by the end of the year, it will have only been 4 degrees away from where it was at the end of 2024. So I don't think you're going to be a ball of fire this time around, and also I don't think you need to be. And besides, you've got a major planet squaring your sign for years, and that is Pluto in Aquarius. And so you may decide not to follow along with people who are often running with new ideas and new inventions. You may not see where you exactly fit in that, or where the way that you work fits in the new way they want to do things. And so I advise you, sit tight. You may as well. I don't think you're going anywhere fast this year, Taurus, but I didn't say you were necessarily going to lose anything either. You just have to be more modest in your tastes, and you have to hang on to your money a little bit more this year, because those eclipses in Virgo are actually going to trine your sun and do you some good, but in a modest, practical way, not in a big, extravagant way. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? What Gemini? This is a time, Gemini, when I think that, I don't know what you're doing for the winter, but you are going to have a delightful summer. And the reason why is that Jupiter has been in your sign since last summer. Well, that's good, because that means that your life can expand, particularly when you're taking short trips or when you're trying to do short projects, because that's what Gemini rules, short-term or temporary projects or jobs or travel or education, short forms of education as well. So Jupiter's been in your sign since last summer, which would have expanded your life in some way and certainly stimulated you mentally and with the public, since your sign rules the public. Well, that was really good for you, Gemini. But on June 10th, it will leave. Jupiter will leave, and it will go into Cancer. And it will stay in Cancer for a year, just the way it's been in your sign for a year. And so when it does that, yes, it will leave your sign, but there's another planet headed into your sign, and it's not going to stay in your sign. It's going to retrograde, but it's going to give you a little peek at coming attractions in your life, Gemini, because your life maybe you had a great year and things did open up for you while Jupiter was in your sign, but that's nothing compared to what's coming, Gemini. And it'll be next year by the time it really settles in. But on July 7th, okay, about a month after Jupiter leaves your sign, on July 7th, Uranus is going to leave Taurus and it's going to come into your sign. And that is really important for you, Gemini. Don't forget that. Because, first of all, Gemini is the rising sign of the United States, so it's the United States ascendant. And so that helps explain why why Americans concentrate on youth, and they have youthful attitudes, and they like doing two different things, sometimes at the same time. They're very versatile and adaptable, and so are you. But on July 7th, Uranus, a planet of sudden surprising change, which rules Aquarius, is coming into your sign, and it is going to trine the sign it rules, its own ruler, and a planet in there. It rules Aquarius, and it's going to be trining Pluto in Aquarius. Well, because it will be so early in your sign, it will be in early degrees of Gemini, and it will be in exact trine to Pluto, which is in early degrees of Aquarius. And this is going to open up a whole new world for you, Gemini. And maybe it will just be giving you a little sneak peek of what's to come in the years ahead, because it doesn't stay in your sign. But Uranus is a planet of not only sudden surprising change, but of invention, of music, things ahead of their time, working with the public more. And certainly your Geminis have the gift of gab. They're very conversational. They get along with anybody. And so you could be a little busier in the years to come. Even if you were retired and you were not thinking of going back to work, you may decide to work on some sort of project that sort of needs doing, and you have the talent to do it, so you go right ahead. Why not? And so you'll get an idea about that this summer when Uranus is in your sign. And then it will retrograde and go back into Taurus, which means there are still some financial matters behind the scenes that you are going to reconcile or work out in a better way. And that's because Uranus is going to leave Taurus. When it does, it'll be in Taurus for another year when it finally gets back there. But then it's going to come into your sign, Gemini, and it's going to be in your sign for 7 years. It's actually a slow-moving planet. And it's going to be a time of a great awakening for you. And Gemini, I'm happy to say, you will probably feel 10 years younger. And you probably look it too. So you've got a great future in front of you. You're just going to get a sneak peek of it in July when Uranus comes into your sign, and then it'll go back in Taurus. So do not think that your future is written in stone, Gemini. There is going to be sudden surprising change, and even the possibility of a wonderful partnership offer coming up for you. It could even come up this summer. And believe me, whatever somebody's offering you this summer while Uranus is still in your sign, you need to say yes in a heartbeat. Just say yes. Don't even ask a question. Just say yes, Gemini. You will love it. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, there is a new moon in your sign that is going to signify sort of the kickoff to a lot of things in your life this next year, Cancer. And the reason why is that on June 10th, Jupiter changes out of Gemini and it comes into your sign. It's going to stay there for a whole year, Cancer. Oh, but when Jupiter is in a person's sign and it rules abundance and benevolence, it generally helps a person put on weight. Ooh. So you're going to have to watch what you eat for the next year, Cancer, because your sign rules agriculture. It rules the whole food business. It rules restaurants, particularly mom and pop restaurants, and it rules grocery stores. And so I think that you're going to be a lot more involved. And Cancers are rather good cooks. And so I think you're going to be involved in all of that. And also, I think that the new moon in your sign this year indicates that, since Jupiter will be there, that your home life is due to change. And it is due to expand. And so I think you're going to have a wonderful summer, Cancer. You may move. You may move into a new home, or particularly if you and someone else are starting a new family, you might move into a new home, or you might move back to a home that is near where you grew up, and maybe it needs a little remodeling. Well, that would be fine too, because you can have a wonderful summer with the people around you who can be your neighbors and your friends, and there's also the possibility that you can welcome other people into your home who become a blended family, and that's possible too. And your sign rules families, and so sometimes we have friends that are such good friends, they feel like a sister or a brother or something, and that's nice. But also there is the possibility that you could start a new life, Cancer, for yourself, and it would be a happier one. Jupiter is only in a person's sun sign once every 12 years. This is a golden opportunity for you, Cancer, to expand your life in a way that makes you feel at home, or makes you feel comfortable around people, doing simple things. So you're going to have a heck of a 4th of July. You'll probably be having some potluck supper in the backyard with a bunch of friends and really enjoying it. And then watching the fireworks. That would be great. So anyway, Cancer, you have a lot to look forward to. It's just that, you have to be a little bit careful because when Jupiter is in your sun sign and Cancer rules food, you tend to gain weight. Well, try not to do that. But on the other hand, America is going to be highlighted because Cancer is America's sun sign. And America's going to sort of be on a roll, particularly in the last half of the year. And you are too, Cancer. You're going to be busier than you think, and I think you're going to be loving it. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, during the time of the new moon in your sign, Leo, I have to remind you again, because your sign too is a fixed sign. And remember, I was telling Taurus that a major planet has changed signs. It's not one of the planets that are going to move in and out of a sign. It's staying right where it is. And it is Pluto in Aquarius, which will be squaring your sign for years to come, Leo. So it's squaring the new moon in your sign this year. And what that means is that there's going to be other people who are in higher authority, and they are going to want to make the rules, call the shots, tell you what to do, and they may even want to restrict you in some way, Leo, because they're the boss and they know it, and they're looking for the future. But that Pluto in Aquarius, while it's squaring the sign of Taurus and it's squaring the sign of Scorpio, which are the other fixed signs, it is opposing your sign, Leo. And an opposition represents a separation. And so there can be people who can be wanting to do new things, and they can be the head of that. They can be influential and high up in upper management in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions, and they can sort of want to follow their own special star. And so they're going to do that, Leo. And you might feel as if you're getting left behind, but that's not true. It is simply that people who are born under fixed signs, and the 4 fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, are people who are pretty set in their ways. And so I see this as a time when you could choose to change direction if you wanted to, Leo. You wouldn't have to take what other people are telling you to do. The solar eclipse is in Aries on March 31st at 9 degrees of Aries, and it trines your sun. So this spring is when you should sit down, have a real good talk with yourself, and ask yourself what new thing you want to do, and give it a try. You may have tried that last year. Well, maybe it didn't quite get off the ground, but now there's another solar eclipse trining your sun, and this year it could get off the ground. You just have to realize that you're not going to rise to the heights that other people think they're at. Your aim should be to sort of take just one step at a time. That is not the way a Leo likes to operate. But with this very powerful planet opposing your sun sign for years, you know, you should try to work toward limited success, one step at a time. Because even if it takes longer, Leo, you will get there. And once you get there, and you're the head of something, and you have a lot of experience, or you have a record of success behind you that can be proven, then you have nothing to worry about. It's just going to take you a long time to do that. But during that whole long time, Leo, you can be the boss. And that's important to a Leo. The Leos like to be leaders. They're not as good at following behind. They're really better leaders. And so you'll have to go slowly. But if you're really sold on something and you want to do it, then listen to yourself and just take it slow. And you'll get there. And if it takes you a couple years to get there, that's fine. Because every sure step you take on the road to success is toward your own success, not anybody else's. Think about it. You know, you could have time on your side as long as you go slowly. But if you decide you've got to sort of grab the spotlight all the time and have all the attention on you, you're going to be facing so much competition, you're bound to lose somewhere. Don't do that. Don't invite a whole lot of other competition, Leo. Stick to what you want to do. And keep going. Because that way you own the whole thing. And it's yours. No matter how long it takes, it's yours. And I think you could have something to be very proud of in the long run. So I hope you stick with a second chance at doing something that maybe didn't get off the ground last year, but it could this year. So give it a go. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. This is your year, Virgo. I do have a little whisper of caution that I need to say in a moment. But first of all, I want to tell you that, Virgo, if you thought this was going to be the same old year where you could do the same old thing and generally nobody would notice and, you know, you're just on your happy little treadmill, that's not the way the year's going to be for you, Virgo. First of all, there's a total lunar eclipse in your sign in March, and that simply means that one woman goes and another woman comes. So in the changing directions that can occur in everyone's life this year, including yours, Virgo, it could involve a relationship as well. And it could involve a co-worker that's going in a different direction. Or it could be that you're going in a different direction and they're not. Or it can be that you are beginning to think of different things that you could do for the community, and you're starting to get interested in that, and that would mean you'd have to rearrange your time schedule to fit that in too. And so you'd have to let something go at the same time that you're embracing something new. That's called changing direction. That's the name of the show, and that is certainly well favored for you this year, Virgo. Because in August there's another new moon in your sign, indicating once again a modest new start. Your sign rules modesty. Virgos do not like to jump off at the deep end of the pool. Virgos would rather sort of wade into things and be careful. Because Virgo rules facts and details. They like to get everything straight. So I would be real careful and continue to advance this year. And realize that when you reach a false start and you need to change to a different direction, that's just going to be a green light toward your future. You know, don't sit around and moan if you lose something. Turn around and see what you have to gain in the future and go for it. Because there is a there's a solar eclipse coming up in your sign around your birthday, Virgo. And this is what I would call an inevitable new beginning that you are due to make. And the reason why is that it's a solar eclipse in Virgo, and it's at the 29th degree, which is the degree of fate in your sign. It's the only new moon at that degree throughout the whole year. And so that means that by the time of your birthday, Virgo, I think that you are going to have to try to decide whether you want to go or whether you want to stay. I don't know if that means a job of yours that you want to stay in or you want to leave. Or it could be a place where you live. Maybe you want to move. Or it could be a relationship you're in that just doesn't feel right to you anymore and you want to make a change. Because all of us are going to be making some false starts this year. But Virgos have very good analytical minds. It rules analysis. And so Virgo can sit around and sort of weigh and measure a lot of things, even the effect that other people have on them. And they can look at relationships pretty carefully. And so I don't know exactly what that involves, but I know that around your birthday will be a time when you will have to decide whether to go or whether to stay. And it's really time. You'll have to decide. It's really going to be time. Solar eclipse at 29th degree, you can't get away from those things. That's the degree of fate. And so you will have to make a major decision right around that time. You might make it before that time. And I think you'll do just fine. You'll do just fine. But it would help if you did a little thinking before your birthday about whether you want to go or whether you want to stay. I don't know what it's in, but I hope you spend the summer thinking about that before you make your decision in September. All right, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. Well, the new moon in your sign, Libra, is indicating that there is the possibility of some sort of partnership coming up, and it could sort of come right out of the blue in the fall. It could come a little earlier. It could come by the time that Jupiter goes, or that Uranus goes into Gemini on July 7th, because that will trine your sun, Libra. That's great. You could pick up a new partnership right out of the blue this summer. But the new moon in your sign in October, on October 20th, is also, it's in your sun sign, and I don't think that Uranus is still trining it, but Pluto in Aquarius is trining your sign at that time, under that new moon. Your sign rules partnership. Pluto tends to rule people in upper management who want to do new things because it's in Aquarius. So they have their eyes on the future. And they may ask you to join them. Or it can be, Libra, that there is some sort of partnership and it just comes right out of the blue. And maybe somebody knows about what you do in your job, or maybe somebody knows about your talent in one way or another, and they just offer you something pretty great. Well, say yes, Libra. Don't even ask a question, just say yes. Well, they can fill in the details later. It's just I think that they're going to want to know in a sort of a nice but quick way whether you're interested in something or not. And I hope you say yes. Because if you say yes, I think that your future is going to open up for you. And that there is the possibility of a very beneficial partnership at that time. And your sign rules partnership. Libra's like that. Libra's like being in partnership. So you have that to look forward to on your birthday. Under the solar eclipse in Aries, which occurs the end of March, it will oppose your sun. So there is the possibility that you will be separated from something that you're sort of used to. Or you will decide to change direction, that's the name of the show, and go in some different direction than you've been in before. And that would work out just fine. Maybe somebody else is wanting to start something new on their own, and that could be fine with you, but then that leaves you free to explore other things. And as Uranus goes into Gemini on July 7th, means you're going to have a heck of a summer. You're going to meet some very unusual people this summer, and they're going to like you a whole lot, Libra. And I think that you should be open to change this year. It's going to do you a lot of good. I mean, Jupiter in Gemini has already been trining your sun. It'll do that until June 10th. And then Uranus is coming into Gemini on July 7th to trine your sun. It's going to go back in Taurus, but it gives you an idea of a preview of coming attractions. I think you're going to want to change directions, Libra. And it's going to just do you a world of good. You'll enjoy it. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, you have one of the most magnificent new moons in your sign that comes up in November. And so that's at the end of the year. And you know, you could say to yourself, well, what am I supposed to be doing for the rest before that? And there are some other things that are very significantly going to change in your life, Scorpio, which is all right because the title of the show is Changing Directions. And you're going to be able to do that this year because a major planet is changing signs, and that will occur on June 10th when Jupiter leaves Gemini and it comes into Cancer, and it immediately starts to trine your sun, Scorpio. And that is going to be really good for you. And so the reason why it's going to be good for you is that it will highlight home and family and real estate. Actually, Cancer rules real estate, and it highlights America. And so you may become more involved than you are used to in American interests or in something that's happening in America, or even problem solving. If there's a big problem in America and you think you can help to solve it, you might get involved in that, Scorpio, and that would be just fine. The thing you need to watch out for all year long and for many years to come is what all the fixed signs have to be careful about. Well, not Aquarius, but Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio have to be careful because Pluto in Aquarius is going to be squaring your sun for years. And so there are times when that is going to present quite a threat. And that's going to come up on the new moon near your birthday, Scorpio. Because it's going to do you a lot of good, but there's going to be a threatening atmosphere occurring in November under the new moon in your sign. And there will be 7 planets in grand trine in the water signs. This gives you tremendous backup, Scorpio. There's 4 planets in your sign, but one of them is Mars. And those 4 planets in Scorpio are going to all be squared by that Pluto in Aquarius. Somebody wants to take off and just jump into the future. And yours is a fixed financial sign, Scorpio. The first question you would ask is, well, where's the money? Who's got the money to do that? Or is it something that's going to make money? Or how much will the taxes be on something? Those are all the things that your sign rules. Your sign also rules debt. And the world is swimming in debt. And so sometime this year, you are going to be involved in having to rearrange some debt, or you could be very worried about taking on more debt. You should not do that, Scorpio. Your sign rules debt. It doesn't mean you should be taking it on. It means you should be getting rid of it. And you will really need to do that no later than November. If I were you, when Jupiter comes into Cancer on July 7th and begins to trine your sun, it means you're going to have a great summer because Jupiter's going to be trining your sun sign. But that would also be a really good time for you to cut down on your expenses. Do inexpensive summer fun things. There's a million of them around in the summertime, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. And you can still have a good time with your friends. But that could help you pay off debt. And if you arrive debt-free by your birthday, that might be a miracle, but it could save your life, Scorpio, because in the month of November, with 7 planets trining each other in the water signs, there is an indication that the lid just blows off something, and that there's going to be some reparations that have to be paid before any legal agreement can be ratified. And in one way or another, you could be worried about that, or you could be thinking about that. And it doesn't necessarily mean it happens to you, but it could affect your business. if you're in business, because the lid blows off the top, reparations will have to be paid. There can be a lot of tension around at that time. For sure, you should not lend any money this year, and you should, if you have debt, you should be paying it off, and as quickly as you can. You need to be debt-free sometime this year, Scorpio, hopefully by your birthday when there are 7 planets trining your sun. That's the best protection you could have against any other kind of financial upheaval, is if you just didn't have the debt, and you know, you weren't obligated to anything except what your own needs are. And so that would be a good idea. So I hope that you are real careful with money this year, and not spending it, but cutting your costs, getting rid of the debt, being frugal. There are eclipses in Virgo. They all sextile your sun, and the total lunar eclipse in Pisces in September trines your sun. And Jupiter in Cancer will be trining your sun at the same time as that lunar eclipse. So in your life, one woman goes and another woman comes. That could happen twice. Actually, to everybody, that could happen twice this year, because both lunar eclipses are total lunar eclipses. And so it's just important that you sort of hunker down a little bit, Scorpio, and just sort of mind your own business, take care of your own needs, and make sure, if you can, that you are debt-free this year. I don't know why, but I want to assure you, you will be very glad if you could get rid of your debt this year. And then you're going to have a wonderful summer, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the solar eclipse in Aries at the end of March trines your sun. And that's good because there was a solar eclipse in Aries last year that also trines your sun. You could have made some fortunate new beginning last year, and you're going to get a great chance to make another fortunate new beginning this year under the second solar eclipse in Aries that trines your sun. And so I think that there is something that represents a new beginning for you this spring, Sagittarius. And it may be sort of a slow new beginning. It could be that you develop a new idea and you work on that idea for a while, or you want to do some research on something, and that takes a while to get all the information for that, just to prepare you for something. But there is a new moon in your sign on December 20th at 28 degrees in your sign, and it trines Aries as well. Okay, so you're getting some nice, there's a new moon in Leo trining your sun too. It's not the world's best new moon, but it is trining your sun in the summertime as well. But what I think for you, Sagittarius, is that something new that you can be working on, maybe you started it last year, but you can be really developing it this year, this spring. You can be working, in other words, you could have taken baby steps last year, but now you're taking more solid steps this year. And so by your birthday, Sagittarius, something new is going to hatch. You know, I can see it. It's, you know how there's a little egg with the little bird inside, and then something pokes through and the egg breaks up, and there's the new little bird. There's something new that can fly. And that's what's going to happen to whatever good idea you're already working on, Sagittarius. It's just going to take a long time to fly, but it'll hatch by your birthday this year. It's in December. It's a little ways away from now. But that's okay. You may have additional work you have to do on it this year. And I think that you're going to be not only very pleased when something hatches around your birthday. In other words, it's going to be born on its own. It will come out, and there it is. It's your creation, but it's alive and well. I don't mean that it's a person or a bird, but it's some idea that you have, and people are going to like it. They're going to like it. It's just somebody has to get a new idea off the ground. It looks to me like it's you, Sagittarius. You could have started it last year. Keep going on it, Sagittarius. It will hatch by your birthday. It's going to really, the world will know about it by then, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, there are no new moons in Capricorn this year. Well, that's because you had 2 last year. And the second one was 2 days before this new year started. So it's pretty recent. And it was on December 30th at 10 degrees of Capricorn. So that was the second new moon in Capricorn. The first one was last January of 2024 in your sign as well. And so it doesn't mean that nothing happens to you, Capricorn, just because there's no new moon this year. What it means is that you're going to be able all year to look at modest success or additional steps that you can take toward a goal, okay? And the reason why you can look forward to that is because there's so many things happening in the sign of Virgo, and they all trine your sun, okay? So there's a total lunar eclipse in Virgo in March. That's going to trine your sun. Okay, so that means that one woman goes and another woman comes somewhere in your life. Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a sister, maybe it's somebody a co-worker that you work with. But one woman goes and another woman comes. But that is a fortunate total lunar eclipse for you because it trines your sun. So there'll be more light on you. And the light would reveal some modest thing. Virgo rules modesty. Some modest thing that you have probably been working on, or it could indicate in the spring some favorable health news of yours. And somebody could be saying, oh, gee, that health condition you had, that's working out pretty well right now. You've been doing a good job on that. They could say that this spring under that Virgo eclipse. Then there's a new moon in Virgo on August, and it is just at the beginning of Virgo, but it trines your sun. And that means that if you are thinking in late August or early September of starting something new, just starting to get it off the ground, that would be a great time to do it. You know, just sort of going forward cautiously and doing just what you can afford, nothing too extravagant, but just taking another step forward. It could be in your career. It would tend to work out quite well. And once again, Virgo rules your health. Your health just continues to improve little by little. And then we come to the solar eclipse in Virgo in September, on September 21st, and that's at the 29th degree of Fate, and that trines your sun. At the same time, Uranus is back in Taurus. It retrogrades back into Taurus, and it too trines your sun. So there's something that is a much larger change, and it's a favorable change. Remember, we're changing direction this year. All of us are. And so there's a favorable change. It's something that sort of solidifies. It becomes more solid in your life. And that occurs under that solar eclipse in Virgo at the 29th degree of Fate. And it may be a time when you want to pare down, and you could be watching your diet carefully, and you could be doing exercise. You could really be improving your health and everything. But you may also, since Virgo rules accounting, you may want to pare down your financial records in one way or another. You may want to look over all your financial records and think of, how could I condense these or make these simpler or something like that. You wouldn't be changing the value of something, but you might be changing the way you handle your financial records then, and that would be to your advantage. So you do have change and changing directions that can affect you this year. There's just no new moons, but I would say that it's almost like going on a trip and just, doing part of the trip and then another part of the trip and then another part of the trip, and you won't realize how far you've come until the end of 2025, until your birthday. Then you'll realize how far you did come this year, even if there weren't any new moons in your sign. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when I've said before that when Pluto went into your sign, you would be coming into your own power, because Pluto is a planet of powerful truth. It rules psychological transformation and change. It's the co-ruler of Scorpio, which also rules war. Pluto rules anything nuclear. Doesn't have to be nuclear warfare, but it does have something to do with that. It rules anything nuclear. And also, Aquarius, your sign rules things ahead of their time. So it rules the future, as you know, and it rules freedom and independence. And this is a year, since Pluto is going to be in your sign not only all this year, it's going to be in your sign for a number of years to come, when you may choose very quietly to maintain your own freedom or your own independence, or to do things your way. And not, now your sign rules rebellion. I don't mean that you're going to be too rebellious. Pluto's a pretty heavy planet. You know, it likes to get down to the nitty-gritty truth of something. So it's not really wishy-washy, or it's not volatile at all like Uranus is. Pluto is always just seeking the deep truth that people have to face in order to understand themselves or others, that psychological transformation and change, so that they can grow. And the reason I'm explaining that process is that's what you're under for many years to come, Aquarius. This growth from the inner truth inside of you that will be coming out. And you may choose your own freedom. You may choose to do things your way. I don't think that you're going to act in a volatile manner, but after July 7th, when Uranus comes into Gemini, it will trine that Pluto in your sign. Exactly. Because Pluto's so early in your sign, and Uranus is going to be early in Gemini. So you're going to have a fantastic summer, but you might be doing something completely different than what you're thinking about right now. But you'll still like it. And it doesn't mean that necessarily gets off the ground and flying right away. But I think that you're going to be doing something pretty creative this summer, and you'll absolutely love it. But it's very important for you to realize that since your sign is a fixed sign, and Pluto is a planet of quiet power and truth, okay, quiet. I didn't say that you're going to be telling everybody else what to do. It's that you can understand your own truth. You can understand yourself better. And so, since you're going to be able to do that for years to come, you are not going to be willing to settle for anybody else's little white lies, or anybody's fictitious stories that they're trying to spin for some reason, or you're not going to fall for anything that, you know, if a gambler came up to you and wanted to sell you a sure thing, you wouldn't go for it at all, Aquarius. You would know the difference. So you're going to know the difference between a phony and a fake everywhere you meet them, or everywhere that you see it. And you may not say anything to people. It's just that it's going to be pretty hard to hide the truth from you the whole time that Pluto is in your sign. You'll see it. And they say that knowledge is power. It doesn't mean that you have to go and tell the whole world that they're a phony. It means that you can understand what other people are doing, or what their inner motivations are, or what their greed is, or the way that they mask, they say one thing but they mean another. You're going to be able to understand all that. But I'm not so certain that you're going to do too much about it, other than avoid those people. But I don't think that you're going to shout from the rooftops or anything. Your sign rules music. You could write music about what you're feeling, and perhaps you'd be surprised at how many other people feel the same way. And then that would unite you all. That could happen too. So anyway, good luck, Aquarius. Just realize you're going to be running up against some pretty strong characters while Pluto it's opposing the sign of Leo, it is squaring Scorpio, and it's squaring Taurus. You need to hang on to your money. If you don't, someone else will try to get it. So be real careful. All right, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, you could be changing directions this year for sure, because the planets in your sign are really doing that. Saturn and Neptune, your own ruler, are leaving your sign. Okay, Neptune's going to be leaving that in March, and going into Aries, and then Saturn will follow it and also go into Aries, where they are not happy. Neptune is really not happy in Aries, because Aries is ruled by Mars, and which rules aggression and wanting to be first and impulsive and, you know, out there. And Neptune is this sort of dreamy planet that, you know, sort of wants to see the best in everybody, and is very soft-spoken in many ways. And Neptune doesn't get along with Mars, and Mars doesn't understand Neptune. These two planets should never be together, but actually that's what's going to happen to your ruler, Pisces, is Neptune is going into a sign ruled by Mars, Aries, and there's a solar eclipse in Aries this year. And so it can be that either you, Pisces, or somebody else you know, it's a little bit more likely to be somebody else, is going to start something new. And as they sort of go on that road, or they change direction and do what they want to do, you may surprise yourself by not feeling bad about that at all. Because maybe it's more okay with you than you realized. In other words, we get used to having people around us that are familiar, like our co-workers at work, or the students that we see in our classrooms all the time, or people in our neighborhood. But if somebody moves on in this year, I don't think it's going to be a loss for you, Pisces. It may be something that's quite all right with you. Because Pisces has this sort of gentle nature, very creative, and sort of wants to see the best in everybody. And the Aries nature is that very competitive, because Mars is a competitive planet. It rules aggression. And you know, Pisces, you wouldn't get along with somebody that was real competitive. The reason why is they'd always be competing against you. And Pisces are not people who have a cruel streak in them. They really don't have a cruel streak in them. They would rather escape something that was harmful than do something harmful. That's not a Pisces nature at all. So you're not going to go over and beat somebody over the head because you don't like the way they're acting. And that's why Pisces is able to put up with a lot because they have this sort of soft nature. But if somebody decides that they're going to take off and go in a different direction, which they could do because there's a solar eclipse in Aries, and a lot of people are going to do that, I don't think it's going to break your heart at all, Pisces. I think you're going to feel relieved. Your life will be a little quieter, but also a lot more relaxing. And so think of it that way, Pisces. You know, if somebody in your vicinity, your near vicinity, leaves, or they move, or they take a different job, or whatever, it is going to leave a lot of calmness in your life, and it is going to give you a chance to really step back and relax and recover. Recover from a relationship that was a little hard to take. But you did it, but it was hard to take. And more than you really wanted to do. And if they move on, or you move on and leave them behind, that's the best thing that could ever happen to you, Pisces. Because you do have that gentle nature. There are going to be changes in your life this year because the Virgo eclipses all oppose your sun sign. And the lucky North Node is going to be in your sun sign for the next year and a half. That's wonderful for you, Pisces, because this spring the North Node is coming into Pisces and it moves backward. So it's going to start at the 29th degree and move all the way through Pisces up to the 1st degree. And it's going to take 18 months or a year and a half to do that. The North Node is a lucky friend. Somebody who likes you, somebody who would open doors for you, somebody who gets along with you. They're just a lucky friend. And you ought to take, it's 18 years before this lucky North Node is going to come back to your sun sign, Pisces. So if you make a nice friend, or you see somebody that you want to think would be a nice friend of yours, go up and introduce yourself. Say hello. Accidentally bump into them. Just say something. They could be your lucky friend. Because you're going to have more than one lucky friend this next year and a half while the lucky North Node is going through your sign, Pisces. Or you will find that people just like you and they will sort of open doors for you or do a little favor for you just because they like you. And that's the effect of having the North Node in your own sun sign. Now the South Node of the Moon, which is unlucky, jealous, vindictive person, and very competitive, an enemy actually, is going to be in Virgo the whole time. Same 18 months. And so you're going to always have to watch out for that person. Don't let that person get too close to you, Pisces. They're not going to do you any good. They have a big chip on their shoulder. You know, they're always right, everyone else is always wrong. If you see somebody like that, Pisces, run the other way. Oops. Because they're not your type anyway. So anyway, you are going to have the chance to make modest improvements this year, but you're really going to have to watch your health because the eclipse is in Virgo. Virgo rules our health, and it rules our mental health or our mental attitude as well as our physical health, particularly the central nervous system. So you have to be a little bit careful and watch what you eat, Pisces, and don't overindulge in anything. And I have just one word of caution for you this year, Pisces, and because your sign rules escape, I want to tell you, do not go to the dark side. Not for any reason. Do not go to the dark side. It will ruin you. And you're worth more than that. You're better than that. So don't ever go to the dark side, but particularly not this year. So anyway, sorry to get so serious, but thanks so much for tuning in. I will try to keep you posted on everything that's coming up for the year because we'll still be doing the shows every single week. And if you find that you are in the mood to change directions, that's what this year is all about, because that's what the planets are doing. And it will do you a world of good. Because if you make a false start and you realize that that's not what you really want, then you can turn around and change direction and make a better choice. And that is going to make you much happier. And even if it turned out to be a false start, at least you're trying new things. And that can help you grow. And it can make you a new person. And so don't worry about a false start and don't worry about having to change directions. It's what we're all in for this year. So I wish you the best of luck. So thanks so much, particularly to my subscribers. And I hope you tell your friends about that. And I'll see you right back here next week for STARBORN. Bye.